Hello and welcome to Journeys in Fandom Season 2, Episode 4?
4.
Yeah, we're back for the fourth time to talk about fandom things.
Things.
Yeah, fandom things. And this time we're talking about Doctor Who, our love of it, our hatred of it, our why is this a thing of it.
I suppose we need to be a bit specific. I can't say specific. The unfortunate tenure of Jodie Whittaker, I think, is probably the easiest way. The last 3 series, I can't remember. It's all blended into one. How many series did she actually do? Was it 3?
I want to say 3, but I
series
think
11, series 12, and then those specials, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that sums it up, really. The fact we're not even sure how many series she actually did. Because
Yes.
I know for me, so Doctor Who came back in 2005 with Eccleston?
Yes, that's going back a few years, but yes.
It is, yeah. I was a young man then, far less jaded, far less grumpy, far less grey hairs. So it came back in 2005, and I was excited because I think, probably like you, I've watched Doctor Who when I was a young man, or young child, or when I was a youngster. With,
definitely.
Sylvester McCoy. I remember I'd come home in the evening and it'd be on telly, and I'd go, "Oh yes, this is my jam." And I went back and then watched some Colin Baker as well, and then discovered my love for Nicola Bryant. Anyway, moving on.
There we go. Yes.
So it came back in 2005, and it was Saturday night, glued to the telly. I'm watching this show, come hell or high water. And if I can't be there in person, I'm gonna video it. Like videos for a thing, and then I'm going to watch it later on the evening if possible. Then Tennant took over, and it was the same thing. It was a case of, I'm excited for a Saturday night to watch it and see what's going to happen. And again, so 2006, how long ago was that? 15 years. So I would have been 25, 26. And for someone in their mid-20s to be excited about a TV program, I'm going to get so much hate for that, aren't I? Was a big thing. You go, actually, I'd be off out on a Saturday night, so I go, can I actually watch the episode before I go out, or can I watch it when I come in, or early on a Sunday to make sure I'd actually seen it when it's fresh. Then Tennant left, and Matt Smith took over, and the first series again, excitement. Halfway through it began to be a problem. I think the multicolored Daleks were a thing that happened, and then it just slowly went downhill. And I think last time we were talking about Weeping Angels, or were we? Or was that an after podcast?
Off camera, yes.
Off camera. So we were talking about the Weeping Angels and how when they first appeared, they were the best thing ever. They were scary, and I went, yes, this is a monster I can live with. And then every time you saw them after that, they got steadily worse.
And they got even worse, worser in the last series. Yes.
So it's like I remember we watched Capaldi's debut episode even in the cinema, and I think we spent the entire episode just moaning. If we had the option to shout at the telly, it would have been there. Just go to what is this? Why is this?
So I suppose there's a thing right there that yes, and we'll get to this. The Chibnell Whittaker era had a lot of faults, but it was already on the downward slide before they took over. And why that was, you could go into that. BBC being one of it. You touched something on there. It was in the cinema. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they ever did that again. I think that was the last big publicity thing they did. No, correction. No. The first episode she did, there was a big thing where it was screened in London. There was a big thing, and there was loads of cosplayers dressed as 13, and it was a big thing because it was first female Doctor, blah, 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 blah. It was amazing. That was the last big thing. But I suppose that was a bit of a invite-only thing. That wasn't like the public couldn't go and see it. And then, they've not done anything since then. And for whatever reason, Doctor Who has fallen out of favour alongside the bad writing and the bad storytelling. It's already fallen out of favour before it got to that point. So it's a lot of things that have made it where it is today, I think.
Yeah. It's like Capaldi. I watched his first season and I hate Clara. I hate her so much.
I used to like her. I thought she was great. And then she became... And this is the reason I didn't like Rose, because the same thing happened, but Clara was on a bigger scale.
The Rose and Doctor show, the Clara and Doctor show.
It flipped, where she became more important than the Doctor, and that's when I was like, ugh, I can't stand Clara. And then when they killed her off, but didn't kill her off because they didn't have the balls to do it, and it's just like, oh, God Lord. Yeah, it flipped it. So she was great to start with, but then the concept was really clever. But then she became too big for the show, and she kind of fell to one side.
Yeah. And then I remember when they announced Jodie Whittaker was taking over, and I thought, oh, actually, this could be a change of direction, and it could be what it needs. New showrunner, new Doctor, new everything. And then I watched her first series, and
it was bad. I'm not gonna mince my words.
Yeah.
It was. There's so many things that went into that first series. Some of it's conjecture, some of it's the truth. But you had the influence of the BBC wanting more. I can't think of the right word without offending someone. They wanted more. I'm going to say woke because I can't think of it, and that's a wrong phrase. But they wanted more of those storylines that concentrate on those kind of topics. It's the wrong thing to say, but I can't think of anything else.
Yeah,
you had the sort of like these storylines were shoehorned into there. There was the Chibnell's approach to historical storylines that ended up being far too preachy rather than actually telling a historical story, because it was all this thing about William Hartnell, it was historical, it was supposed to be a historical TV show. Yeah, it was, but the historical stories they told were badly written and badly scripted and just fell flat, because it was just like, oh, good Lord, stop telling me stuff about things I don't really care about. Give me a good sci-fi story. Because I think, unfortunately, Doctor Who's evolved away from the historical thing to a more science fiction thing. So, yeah, that whole first series, they tried to do something different. They didn't have any reoccurring characters from the old series because they wanted to do new monsters. That failed. Yep. And then they went completely the opposite in the second series, like series 12. And it lurched too far the other way. But no, that first series she did was awful. It was badly written.
I think that was the issue I had. I watched it because it was an obligation to watch it.
Yeah.
And after that, I went, I'm done. I cannot be bothered.
There was a point in that series when it was a tipping point for me, and I remember it exactly. It was the one with the spiders, the ecologically grown spiders, because of the stereotypical American who had created an ecological disaster. And it was that episode where you've got a shouty American who was a really great reoccurring character, and then the actor was another one of these people who did things he shouldn't have done in real life, and we don't speak about him again. But the character was so bad it was good. But in that first episode, it was just a shouty American, and it's like, I can't, there's something not right here. And then there was the Rosa Parks episode. Now, on face value, it was a very, quite a strong topic to tackle. But the concept of it didn't land, because you had a villain who I can't remember his name, space racist, who was doing something with time for some reason, because a meteor was called Rosa Parks. So they focused too much on the historical and kind of shoehorned in the reason for them to be in there. And the one thing that really frustrated me about that one is they had such an opportunity in that show where you had Graham, who was a standout character across all her series, who was a bus driver. he should have been the one driving that bus, and he should have been the one to keep history exactly how it should have been. He should have had to have kicked her off the bus or kicked her out of her seat, and they didn't do it. And that would have been such a really emotional beat if they'd actually got him to do it rather than the guy who actually did it. But it was if they had it all there on a plate and they didn't go for it, and that really frustrated me. Space races aside, they should have done it. There were so many things in that whole first series where you think, oh, if only they'd just done this, but they concentrated on that. And I can't even remember what the finale was about. It was just pointless.
I think that was the problem. I think we watched the finale and went, was that a finale then? I think that was my issue. I went, cool, so that was the final episode, I guess. It's the old classic of the closer you get to a perfect TV series, the worse your errors show. And I think Doctor Who has got that issue where you had so much potential, and you just, every time you try and get there, you just fall so far from it. And I think that's what...
Frog on a chair. I'm just reading it while you were talking. The episode with the frog on the chair. Do you remember that one? Where she went through to a parallel universe. And
gee.
There was the frog on the chair talking to her.
Yes.
It's such a bad episode. Oh my God.
I know why I don't remember it, because my brain just went, nope, not today. I need that storage space for other things, and frog on chair is not it.
I'm just reading it, and I just, because like that again, there's so many moments in that first series where I thought, this is good, this is good. Oh no, it's not good.
No, why? Why is there a frog on a chair?
Then series 12, they went all like the Master returned. We'll get to the other stuff that happened in there. Captain Jack Harkness, I'd forgot, returned in that series.
Yeah.
And you had a storyline running through it. The Cybermen returned, so they went full on. Oh dear, we've made a mistake. We'll go lurch to the left and put everything back on, and completely destroyed fandom, Doctor Who fandom as we know it in the process. But as we'll see in some of the clips, I think the Timeless Child thing, well, pretty confident he had it planned from the start. It wasn't a let's do this. This is what he was always going to do. And you read some of the interviews with Chibnell, he wanted to change the canon, and this was kind of his way of doing it. So it was kind of, he was going to do it regardless.
And it's always a dangerous statement to make, but does an established canon actually need changing? So if you've got this is what Doctor Who as a show is full stop. Evolve it, yes, but change it. And I think this is the problem we're going, actually, do I want to just add to what we have, or do I want to incorrectly stamp my mark on? So you go, actually, I was the one to do this. That
sounds exactly what he was trying to do, because Russell tweaked it to make it fit modern audiences. He tweaked the Doctor's age. He tweaked a few little things around the edges just to kind of make it make sense. Moffat got the regenerations reinstated. That was about all he did. Oh no, 50th, obviously the whole Gallifrey was already destroyed, so that didn't really count. So that was in the canon of New Who. It didn't make any difference. But this was something that I think, from the start, he wanted to make his stamp on Doctor Who, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to change it. And the problem they had was they were too far gone in alienating the fan base that they just made everything 100 times worse. It was too much. They'd already messed things up with the core fans, with all the previous series and the way they were acting towards fandom, that when they put this kind of like, they just like, and then the final nail in the coffin was, we're going to change everything that you know about Doctor Who because I can. And so there's so many things wrong with that tenure. Everyone blames Whittaker. I think her Doctor, I can't remember, I said it in one the first podcast, was just a David Tennant impression with a bit of Matt Smith thrown in. I don't believe she had, whether it's a writing or whatever, she didn't have a character. So every Doctor before has got a personality. Hers didn't. There were little bits in there, that I thought, oh, if only they'd expand on that, and they never did. It was always the David Tennant-esque mannerisms and stuff like that. It was didn't feel natural.
Yeah.
And I think as well, she didn't endear herself at all by literally from day one saying, "Oh, I've not watched any previous Doctor Who. I've gone into it like blind because I don't need to know that." And even Matt Smith, who wasn't a fan, watched one story from every Doctor to at least understand what it was about. And she just said, "No, don't just do that. Because I do it my own way." And there's so many instances of the cast and the way they approached their responses to the core fandom that alienated that core fandom and kept making things worse and making it worse. Because we've got this whole thing now, it's on social media, it's been going on for years, where there's a certain set of people who come in and want to change a series to match what they feel is correct. And the core fandom is either left to follow that or they walk away. But then once these people move away, the series is left with nobody. And that's where this is where Doctor Who is at the moment. It's alienated so many people. It's kind of in this kind of do or die situation. And that's why the only real person to come back was Russell and Tennant to revive it.
Yeah. And I think for me, the only reason why I'm going to give it a go is because of those guys coming back.
Yeah.
It's like I like to watch Regeneration episodes just to see what happens. Matt Smith's, I hate to say it, I just spent the entire episode going, "Will you please die now?" Just to get it done. I'm going, this episode keeps going. And I just went, please, just die. Just get on with it. Capaldi's one again, I was going, yeah, cool. But I think the problem is you're waiting for the next Doctor to happen, so you're going, right, come on.
Yeah.
And like Jodie Whittaker's one, I'm going, oh, cool, you've basically survived the episode, and now you've been hit by a random blast and you're dead. Cool.
Yeah. That one was a bit underwhelming, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think Tennant to Matt Smith was always the best because just Bernard Cribbins and you just that whole little bit where he survives the entire episode and then those knocks come and you just think, oh, every time I see that it's just like, oh man, that's such a good scene.
Yeah, he'd survived things that should have killed him probably 3 times over.
Yeah,
and you go, oh, I'm still functioning, and just hear this tap tap tap, and you go, oh god.
And Tennant plays that so superbly. The way.
And the fact, like the last words, his "I don't want to go," still breaks fans to this day because he's going, oh, "No, I'm not ready," and you go, "No, neither are we, guys."
No, and there's so many things that went right for that, and unfortunately, I watched Whittaker's last episode because she just celebrate the fact she was going because I'd had enough, and I was only watching it out of loyalty. I was watching it, and I was so disappointed with the Flux because the Flux concept was brilliant. An episode a week, it had a really good start, and then it got to a point, and then it fell off a cliff because they didn't satisfy the Flux storyline. They were just so intent on telling the Timeless Child story, which kind of came in at the end, that you never found out who the villains were. You never found out why one of them was disguised as a woman in Norway. You never found out what their real intention was. And it was all about this Timeless Child thing in the end. And it was like, oh, good Lord. It was such a disappointment because it was so good. And actually, I was getting really excited each week. I remember sitting at home. I actually feel quite excited to watch Doctor Who for the first time in 3 years. And then literally halfway through, they flipped it. And it was like bait and switch. It was like, oh. Yeah. The villains just got killed off. And it's like, oh, okay, they're dead. Who were they? Did anyone know who they were? And didn't hear from them again. And it was like, oh, God.
I thought the chap who played the Master in Whittaker's last episode was very good.
Yeah.
And the whole Rara Rasputin thing, I went, I'm here for this.
To start with, in the first episode he was in, I thought, oh, he's just playing John Sim, Master. But when he came back after that, he was a lot better. And yeah, that Rasputin thing was done brilliantly. And I thought his performance in that sort of last episode was great. And I'd be happy to see him back again. But to begin with, it was like, oh, God, another kind of cliche crazy master character, especially as we had Missy, who was great. And John Sim was equally as good. I wanted something different. But actually, yeah, he was all right because he was just batshit. Excuse my French, and that was enough, I think. So
shall
the biggest thing that Chibnell did was change fandom, change the canon, and broke the Doctor Who, in my words.
I'm not going to like this, am I?
No, so we were going to do a watch along of some of these episodes, but I'm thinking now you should have watched it. I should make you sit like Clockwork Orange with your eyes just like watching every episode, because I've had to live through this. But we're gonna what we're gonna do. I've got all the references. I've got two things. I've got the references to the Timeless Child, so you can see he was planning it from the first series. But then there's all this Fugitive Doctor nonsense, which we haven't touched on, woven into it. I want to get your view on that. So what have you seen and what haven't you seen? Or what can you remember?
I saw Capaldi's first series, Whittaker's first series, Capaldi's regeneration, Whittaker's regeneration. That's
so you've not seen you've not seen the Fugitive Doctor reveal or anything, have you?
No, the only time I knew she existed was when it was in Whittaker's final episode.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Right.
And I was whatever.
Right. The first clip we're going to see is from the first series, episode 2. If you remember, that's the one where she got the TARDIS back and it had the big penis in the middle.
Yes, I vaguely remember this episode. It's been a while.
Yes. So this is the first mention of the Timeless Child. So this is 3 series, the first of the 3 series. So if we just go here. So there we go. The psychic bog roll were the first things to mention the Timeless Child. So throwaway line, didn't think anything more of it. And then nothing else happens until way into the second series, series 12. And the two-parter when they reintroduced the Master. So yeah, you don't get any more reference to that. It's just completely forgotten.
No, I think the daft thing is they've gone back and tweaked the canon before, like when Clara says to the first dog, "Don't take that TARDIS, take that one. It will take you where you need to go," kind of thing. And you go, actually, I can live with that because it's just. It
was cheesy, but yeah, you can let it off.
Cheesy and cliche, but I can allow it in my existence because it doesn't. It adds to. It doesn't replace anything.
Yeah, it just builds on that extra layer, and it can be easily forgotten. If it needs to be, whereas this can't be because of its significance. So I'll play the next bit, and it's kind of the build up to what happens. So he destroyed Gallifrey, by the way. So there we go. So yeah, this was where I was getting frustrated because end of that episode, she goes back to Gallifrey and it's been destroyed. So it's like all that fuss to bring it back, and the Master destroys it. We don't really find out how he did it. He just did it, and it's like I think ignoring what comes next is like the 50th was such a nice point to bring Gallifrey back. Okay, they messed it up in Capaldi's just to a certain extent. If you remember that one where he goes back, it was all right. And then he just destroys it. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to reset everything that was built up over the last, 10, 15 years. I can't remember how long it was. When was that? 3 years ago. So 2020. So yeah, 15 years kind of built up, and then they just reset it. And it's like, oh, right, okay. One man's destroyed Gallifrey. So at this point, the Timeless Child is now in full motion.
Okay.
So that was at the start of series 12. That was the second of the two-parter at the start. So not too bad. And then you get the Fugitive Doctor thing. Now, this was interesting because I was thinking about this today when I was kind of setting these up. You didn't know this was going to happen. So full credit to them. They kept it quiet, and it was a big reveal because this episode was the one that Captain Jack was back in. So everybody and the press and everything, all the focus was on John Barrowman coming back.
Yeah.
And no one saw this coming at all in the episode until it happened. So, yeah, full credit. They wasted Captain Jack in this episode anyway. It was just kind of a throwaway thing. And I think that's probably why, in a sense, it's like, oh, look over here. And then, whoa, this is going to happen. So this is the complete reveal. And I want, knowing what you know now, I want you to see if you can spot the glaring issue with this, besides the point of what we know now. But when you look at it, what is wrong with the way what happens with this? Because there's something there that doesn't make sense to me, and they still haven't explained it like everything else. But I'll see if you can spot it. So this is the next bit. This is hang on. Context. This episode was the Jadoon, which I always like the Jadoon. Yeah. They come down. They're trying to arrest somebody who's a fugitive. There's this woman and her boyfriend. All the clues point to the boyfriend. He gets killed. It's not him, it's her. The Jadoon are working for these Time Lord agents. Gets to the point where they're trying to chase her down. She doesn't know what's going on, and it gets to this part here. No. So that came out of left field in that episode because I thought, oh, it's going to be another Time Lord, blah blah blah, and then that happened.
Yeah, because obviously the break glass is the same thing from Tennant's era when the watch.
Yeah, it's a different concept of the Watcher because I think in the episode she was drawn to this lighthouse and she didn't know why. And at one point, which was nice, she did some Third Doctor jiu-jitsu on some people. What's it called? The Aikido thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I can't remember the planet. But yeah, there's little things like that when you look back and you think, oh, okay. And yeah, it was kind of, it was like cloak and dagger a little bit. But yeah. Right, okay. So at the time...
So where is she meant to fit in the line?
So in the line, and we'll get to this, she's supposed to fit before the first Doctor, William Hartnell.
So why has she got a police box?
There we go. You got it.
As soon as you see it, go, hang on, it becomes a police box because it lands in 1960s Earth, but it fits in, and then the thing breaks.
That's exactly right. So at the time, it was left, and there was loads of speculation online that she was going to be a regeneration between 2 and 3, so that when 3 falls out of the box after a forced regeneration, it was happening, because there's lots of conjecture in fandom that there was a regeneration in that point where he was punished by the Time Lords and stuff like that. So that was where everyone thought she was going to fit, and it fit the evidence you saw, because the TARDIS is the thing that doesn't make sense. Is if they were going to do it, they should have just done any old TARDIS in any old form. But the fact it was a police box, it can't have been a police box, because it was only a police box when William Hartnell had it.
Yeah.
So when the first Doctor had it. So that was just another example of poor writing that didn't explain why she had what she'd had. And they never explained it. And it's so frustrating. It's little things like that. You just think, just explain it, or have it as something else, like a wardrobe or a toilet or something, but not they did it for dramatic effect because she digs it up, and it's like, oh, it's a TARDIS. And also at the time, loads of people said that Joe Martin acted Jodie Whittaker off the screen in a very small scene, and it was like everyone's like, why can't we have her as the Doctor instead of her? And it was just like, yeah, you could see that thing. And it's no disrespect to either of them, but she commanded the scene, and they were both in it. And when you've got 2 Doctors on they normally are battling for screen time, but those 2, she acted her off the screen in a very short space of time. So yeah, that was my big bugbear. Is you've got a TARDIS, it has a police box. Doesn't make sense. Why is it a police box? And
like the whole why don't remember each other, because every multi-Doctor story you normally have is they just go, hi, you're me, and the younger one goes, oh god, am I? Yeah,
that's the other thing, because obviously they got this thing, and I wonder if I can find. Oh no, because there's loads of clips of that. I'll explain. Might make you watch that for homework. But there's a whole bit where her memory's been wiped, so she doesn't remember herself. But I remember at the time thinking, it doesn't matter if the Doctor doesn't know who they are. They know it's a Time Lord, so they are. It's that whole. Well, they even mentioned it with. When the Master came back, isn't it? About how the Time Lord can sense. And when he sees the watch, and the Doctor immediately knows who it is when he releases that thing. They didn't do that with this. So this is canon from New Who, that they forgot that a Time Lord can recognise another Time Lord regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
That might have happened with Missy and Capaldi's Doctor, but this was another thing where it's the Doctor knows himself even if he doesn't know himself or herself, whatever. Yes, so that was that one. Then this was another random reference on a really good episode that was badly written and should have been a 2-parter. So I'll just show you this one.
Okay.
There you go. Very short one. It was to do with nightmares and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's drip feeding that. Well, who is the timeless child? Who is it? And even back then, I was like, no, it's not. It's not going to be. It'll be the master. That was my kind of working hypothesis because it makes sense. But as we know now, it wasn't the master. And then here's the big reveal. And
right, I'm prepared. I'm emotionally
4
ready.
minutes of anger, and you're going to get the full thing. And yeah, there's certain things. Right, let's do it. So this is context. This is in the final episode of the series. Long story short, Cybermen chasing humankind across the galaxy. They end up at some place that they're going to be transported to Salvation. Transporter works. Turns out it's the Master. He transports them to Gallifrey. He has killed all the Time Lords and turned them into Time Lord Cybermen, so Cybermen can regenerate. Interesting concept. And then he captures the Doctor and shoves her in the Matrix. And here we go. There we go. Right, I'll pause it there because that's the Cybermen. What do you think of that so far? Well, I skipped to the next bit.
Wasn't it originally weren't regenerations capped by like the Time Lords themselves and the High Council? So is this what?
It gets better. Your questions will be answered in a second.
Oh, is she going to be her own bloody mother or something? Oh,
So to start with, it's like, this is how it all goes downhill from here. So it gets better. So I found the next bit. So if we just skip right ahead to this bit. There we go. Don't you just love how...
Hang on.
It's so many questions.
So hang on. So the Time Lord restricted to 12 regenerations, but the Timeless Child isn't a Time Lord because they're the original, so they don't have that restriction.
Yep.
But yet we've seen the Doctor have that restriction.
Yep. That was a plot hole that was never explained. It's like, the patient 0 shouldn't have had that genetic code because it was patient 0. So
And
why
at what
did...
point do they wipe her memory or their
Oh,
memory of every...
This happens, yeah. So also the fact that we assume that was Rastalon and Omega in that shot are relegated now. So they are not the true founders of Gallifrey. It is Tecteun. You could, even if you really wanted to be pedantic, go into the fact that what a great parent she was, experimenting on a child and killing it, 4 or 5 times. But we won't go down that road because that's just bad writing. And yeah, there's all sorts of things. Oh yeah, let's just completely forget about Omega. Let's completely forget about Rassilon, and let's just do this way because why not? It makes sense.
And so, did it explain where the timeless child comes from?
No, that is left dangling. Even after the series after this, it's left totally ambiguous. I'm not going to show you the second one because it's not worth it. Tecteun basically comes back and she's gone a bit mad and she's trying to wipe out this universe with another universe, and she gives the Doctor the pocket watch that has all their lives in it, and the Doctor, in the end, she gets the pocket watch and she drops it into a container in the TARDIS, never to be seen of again. So it's this is the thing, and there's still more. I'm going to make you watch the rest of it, that Russell either has to address by carrying on with it, or he has to address by writing it out. Otherwise, it's just going to be there, and you can't unsee it. That's the thing. You can't unsee this now.
You can't unsee it.
No. So he's either got to write it out or keep it. He can't just ignore it, because it's not like he ignored loads of things from the 70s because that was 30 or 40 years prior to when he was writing. This is like 2 or 3. So it's fresh. Right. I've got another bit, I think. I might have to jump around this one.
So, right, let's get right in the head. So, she's the founder of Gallifrey. She's got infinite regenerations, apart from she doesn't.
Yep.
And she's not a Time Lord, but she's a Time Lord. So, why would she have any of the abilities of a Time Lord? Because she's not one.
Yeah, that's the concept. And it's like,
okay.
Yeah, let's keep going because there's more. There's more.
I don't want there to be more.
I'll explain that bit in a minute.
Okay.
So in the previous episode, there's this whole thing. I wasn't getting to show this of this like Irish 1920s whatever, where this kid grows up, becomes a policeman. Or I can't remember. At one point, he regenerates, and it's all that kind of stuff. So it's an analogy for her kind of past lives that have been erased. So that was kind of it. But there you go. So the division is now some big bad that Tecteun runs. The Weeping Angels work for the division.
What? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was the series afterwards.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Let me just find the next bit.
Make it stop. Make it stop.
Hang on, it's probably there. She's trying to get out of the Matrix and it's getting really hokey. Right.
I take back every bad I've ever done. Just make it stop.
There we go. You're getting this bit. Ignore him. Ignore them. Not important. I think it's this bit.
I feel her pain.
Yep, sapping the energy out of me too, love. I think this is the right bit. I want to skip it on because there's lots of gibbering. Yep, here we go. Stop talking. Here we go. Did you spot it? Did you spot it? The Brain and Morbius doctors.
Oh,
that's one of the inspirations apparently for this was, well, they did it in Brain and Morbius, so we're just gonna make all that real. There you go. That is a whistle stop tour of the Timeless Child. How do you feel now?
I feel sorry for anyone listening to this only and not seeing it, because all they're just going to hear me going, "Oh God, oh no!"
Yeah,
why?
watch it on YouTube, fans. If you listen to this, go to link.journeysinfandom.com and get the link and watch this on YouTube. There you go. So that is the Timeless Child, and you can see why people were angry. And for me, ignoring there's so much wrong with that. There's so much respect for William Hartnell and the First Doctor, and people were genuinely angry that effectively makes his character in this meaningless. And there's so much justification that's come out from them, the Chibnell, that say, "Oh well, he's still the First Doctor because he's the first person to take that name." Well, no, he's not, because she's calling herself the Doctor.
Yeah.
So they've tried desperately to justify what they've done, and what they've done is just make it worse. Now, weirdly, I can see what they were trying to do in one sense is, well, a lot of the original Doctors are old, and so you can't bring them back in the concept of the show, although they did turn up, didn't they, Whittaker's episode in her brain, and no one, only Paul McGann realistically out of the old ones. So by creating these other Doctors, they can shoehorn in other people if they want to, but they could have just put them in somewhere else by devaluing William Hartnell. That's the one thing, the problem, I think, that everyone, it's the biggest thing. It makes him as the First Doctor irrelevant. And this is why Russell either has to write it out or he has to address it. He can't just ignore it. He really can't ignore it. Because
I was going to say, if he's going to address it, you've got to address where the hell they came from. Why is there a generation cap in place? Because it shouldn't be. Actually, do we need to know how many there are? Because actually numbering them becomes pointless.
Well, it's already pointless anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, pick a bloody number. Yeah.
Yeah, because it already got really messy with War Doctor.
And Temple 5 and
it got really out of sync
Handy
anyway.
Doctor.
Yeah. But it is a mess. Now I in my other YouTube channel, links below, did some theories on this when it came out. And if they were going to go with the Timeless Child and they had to do it, I would have preferred it to be in the Master, because you could understand, to be fair, that scene where he's disgusted that he has a part of the Doctor inside him, I think that was done really well. And you could see him as being the Timeless Child, and you could see the way he was and the anger he felt that he's been manipulated all his life. That would have worked really well if he was the Timeless Child, but that didn't work. And are you familiar with the concept of the other that was in the books?
Yes.
Yeah, where it was Sylvester McCoy's Doctor was going to be in the Cartmel Master Plan, was actually the other could have been either the Timeless Child, so there's the three of them, regenerations, time travel, politics of Time Lord, all three, or the other could have been Tectayun and still had a Timeless Child as another person. And I think in one of my videos I said that the Timeless Child could have been the big bad, and it could have worked, that they are really like messed up because they got experimented on. It didn't need to be the Doctor, because the thing is with the Doctor is he or she is supposed to be a Time Lord, and they rage against the machine. They don't want to be a Time Lord. But by making the Doctor someone special, it invalidates all that, and it makes them a superhero when they're not supposed to be a superhero. They're supposed to be a fallible person.
Yeah.
So many things wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just I hate everything. I just someone stab me with a spoon, please. I'm just done. Oh God.
Yeah, you can see why a lot of
Yeah.
people were very angry with that. And the thing is, they were at such a low with traditional fans at that point anyway. That was kind of just the final nail in the coffin, and people went batshit. I've said it twice in this podcast, but they did go crazy online, and there was so much anger over what the way they did it as well. And having done acting training, darling, one of the things you talk about is you show, not tell. So that entire thing, you had the master telling her what was going on. If they just let the scene play out, show, not tell. But it's all the way through. There's a commentary. Now, the only saving grace is that Russell could do is it was the master manipulating the Doctor all along, and all that was just messing with her head. You could argue you could do that, and they could write it out really quickly. But show, not tell. The whole presentation of that was just like, oh, yeah. So many things wrong with it.
Yeah, I think for me, either, like you said, show, not tell, and just delete it by, yep, it was all in your head. Just be gone with it. It's all crap and garbage.
It was all...
Or, like you said, actually, have it as a thing, but then you have the master lying, and then actually it's another entity, and you go, oh, actually, this was you, and you're trying to like break the Doctor psychologically, and you go, well, actually, this is the big bad, like you said, and you go, oh, it shouldn't be them. It just shouldn't.
No, and this division thing, it's now this thing where the Doctor meets people she doesn't know. That the Flux, the villain in the Flux, already knew the Doctor, but she didn't know who he was, and that was kind of it worked, and then it got flipped on its head when you met Tectonian at the end, and she was trying to destroy the universe. Incidentally, at the end of that series, a big chunk of the entire universe had been destroyed, and they never rectify it. So I think possibly our entire solar system, bar Earth, was destroyed as part of the Flux destroying the universe, and it was never rectified. It was never fixed. So it's just left. Yeah, it's just left with Earth survived. I won't go into the reasons why. Lots of dogs in flying ships. And, it's a drugged up nightmare. Trust me.
Oh, God.
But the whole universe has been wiped out. But it was never fixed. She never fixed it. So it was just left. And then the next episode, they're all happy and jolly because it's like the New Year episode. And it's like, oh no, the whole galaxy's gone. Has anyone thought to fix that? It's such bad writing.
I can't even form a word, let alone a sentence. It's just my brain is doing like 90 things and just going file not found. I'm just trying to process this mess.
There you go.
Like in the old days, so in old Who, you would have a nice story. Stuff would happen. They'd go to a planet, and you would have a contained story, and it was good fun. And you could just go, yeah, I've watched a couple of episodes because they were 2-parters, 4-parters, whatever, and it was fine. But now they're trying to. It feels like they're trying to either one up each other, so every series got to be bigger and bolder and
I agree
do
with that.
more, or each writer's going, oh, actually, this writer did this, so I'm going to do this, and oh, actually, well, now I'm going to do this, and just keep. I think you're building something on such a weak foundation that no wonder the whole thing keeps falling apart. So, if I'd have decided, actually, I'm just going to watch an episode here and there, I would have had no clue. So if I'd gone, I'm going to watch the Flux episodes, I would have sat there watching and just gone, what is this?
Who's this woman at the end who's destroying the world?
Yeah. Yeah, the fact is, if you're going to have are series-long story arcs detrimental to a TV series? Because actually, you think back, Buffy, that was years ago, decades ago, but that had story arcs because you had the big bad vampire in series 1, like the master vampire thing,
Angel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But it was enough to just go, oh, actually, it's not going to, if I just jump into an episode here and there, it's not going to derail my watching the show.
No. And even the Bad Wolf storyline, it wasn't every episode, and you could drop in and you could drop out, and it wouldn't matter. But yeah, I think story arcs are now a thing. Every series, what you watch has to have a story arc in some shape.
We covered this with the Marvel episode, didn't we? The fact that now TV series and films, you've got to watch 27 years of pre-content.
Yeah.
To understand what the latest movie's going on about.
So I'm hoping that Russell restarts it. So because it was nice back in the day. You had second episode of the series was always a historical episode. You had 2 sets of 2-parters, probably 3 and 4, and then 6 and 7, and then you had a 2-parter finale at 9 and 10 or 11 and 12. That's the thing that you could you could set your watch by, and it was nice because you knew what you were getting. And if there's a story arc, great, but if there wasn't, there wasn't. But
and if there's a story arc, it was subtle and in the background.
Yeah.
So dear RTD, if you're watching this, would you mind?
Rewrite The Timeless Child by just retconning it.
And we'd like a strong first episode, a historical second episode, then a 2-parter, then a nice couple of standalones, then a 2-parter, then a build-up, then a finale, job done.
And you could let Stephen Moffat back, but only let him do a maximum of 2 episodes. And we'll let Mark Gatiss back as well. That's what we want. And Chris Chibnell definitely won't be back because they do not get on at all, apparently.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he said he would never come back again. He's just basically done a big turd over this Doctor Who and left. Apparently he wasn't the first choice either for showrunner. No, I don't know who the first choice was, but there's lots of people who said rumours are he wasn't the first choice. And that Capaldi would have stayed, but Chibnall came in and said, no, I won't do it unless you make the Doctor a woman. So there we go. What might have been.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's the daft thing. It's ever since Tennant was in. Obviously, there's the old Peter Davison joke of only do 3 series and call it a day. And lo and behold, every Doctor, of the new era, other than Eccleston, who just did the 1, has done the 3.
And we know now why Eccleston left, because that all came out, didn't it, quite recently about all the shit that was going on. It's kind of that cliche now that thing has become rote. But I suppose in some respects, by the nature, Capaldi was different, but all the others have been up and coming actors who have gone on to bigger and better things. Well, near enough. Whittaker, I don't know where she's gone, but they're all young in that kind of part of their careers where they're not well known. Whereas Capaldi came in differently as a fan and had already been around for years anyway. So obviously, Ncuti Gatwa is exactly the same. I can't see him doing more than 3 series because of where he is in his career. Yeah.
So who's going to be our Tom Baker? That's a real question. Someone who just
Tennant half. He's done it twice. Is he?
Yeah.
No, I don't think the TV the way it is today that we'll ever get a scenario where you've got a Tom Baker just because of the nature of the way TV runs and people's careers, because you won't get anyone. Because Tom Baker came in and he was really young, wasn't he? And he was relatively unknown compared to John Pertwee. So he came in and stuck with it, and they stuck with him. Now the BBC probably wouldn't. Well, no, they're not going to get rid of Doctor Who because it's still a massive money spinner for them. But would there be a young actor or actress, to be fair, that would come in and stick with it and not leave? I just don't think it happening ever again.
It's a difficult one. And I think we talked on this in season 1 of the podcast almost. Actually, does Doctor Who at some point just need that break? Because obviously
I guess we're in it.
Well, no, I'm thinking like we had Old Who, then it went.
You mean like a cancellation break? Yeah.
Yeah. Does it need like a long break to just let our combined psyche like reset and go? Oh, actually, does it need that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the saying? We can't miss you if you won't go away.
Yeah.
I suppose it couldn't go away now because we're coming up to the 60th. But
Yeah. But then it'll be the 70th, the 80th.
Yeah, there you go. It's too much of a thing for it, because while it was away, it missed how many? 30th was Professor McCoy, wasn't it? That was the Cybermen episode. And then it went away for the 40th and obviously came back and it was for the 50th. So, no, it's not going to go away because we're too close to the 60th. It now would have been the time to put it out to pasture, but we can't.
Yeah.
So the only thing to do was to do something crazy, bring back David Tennant, bring back Russell T Davies, kickstart it all again. Well, he's... separate conversation, different episode. The whole multiverse of Doctor Who is rumoured, and there's all sorts of stuff going on now, isn't there? So that's probably a separate episode in itself to talk about.
I don't want it.
The future of Doctor Who. But no, I think they've lost their opportunity. It's never going to go away because it's a cash cow.
Yeah, because wasn't there a series of like the Doctor at high school or something, or was it, have I fever dreamed this?
Was that thing that someone tried to do as a fan film, and then it got shut down?
I can't remember.
No, I think that was someone tried to make that, didn't they? Online.
Maybe and it
got shut down. Yeah, because it was obviously copyright theft.
Yeah,
but yeah, who knows? But it's never going to go away, and they've got to get it right. They've got one opportunity really, and David Tennant's kind of okay. It's Ncuti Gatwa. I feel sorry for him because he's got to put a lot of stuff on his shoulders to get it out of where it is at the moment. Yeah.
So if effectively Tennant's going to lift it back into sort of the main consciousness, because he's Tennant and he's popular, etc., etc., and then Ncuti Gatwa has got to lift it and keep it up. Yeah, and that's going to be a problem. You're going to have to lift that whole weight of expectation on what are very young shoulders.
Yeah, it's a tough job, but at least he's got a good writer behind him, and someone who is a fan, who likes the show, who knows what worked. Christmas episodes starting at Easter, and can do it justice.
Yeah,
it's the only fly in the ointment is. Well, actually, no, because it's not as bad as it was. Is what influence the BBC has in storylines, but because it's been farmed out to
haven't they washed their hands of it almost?
Yeah, they basically farmed it out to Sony effectively. They might not have as much influence as they've had over the last couple of years, so that might be a positive as well.
Yeah. What was I going to say about Ncuti? My brain's turned to goo. Hopefully, actually, no, I've remembered. He, from seeing what else he's been in, it's having those acting chops as well to act against people and to control a scene.
Yes,
exactly. Like we said with Jodie Whittaker, you cannot be the main character and acted out of a scene.
She can't command a scene.
You must be. I am the main character. Whoever's in this scene, I don't care who they are. I am going to command this scene.
Yeah, unfortunately, she can't do it, and time again, she was acted off the screen in those clips that's there. 2 of them in the screen, and she's not commanding that scene.
No.
I don't know. So, he's got to be able to act, and the Doctor has to be the smartest person in the room, and they've got to be able to act. Matt Smith could do it. David Tennant obviously could do it. Eccleston was excellent. Capaldi, for what he got, was really good because, again, they were really good actors. William Hurt, I don't know what I'm saying. John Hurt could do it as well for the short time he was on screen. So it's doable.
I think also, can we just have a companion who's just a companion? I don't want a superhero, multi-dimensional, lives through all of time, bloody her own grandma's, daughter's, mum's, sister's, cousin companion. I just want someone who can, no, this is just going to be our audience surrogate, because that's what
Russell can do it. Okay, Rose kind of ran away with it a little bit, but if you look at Rose series 1, you look at Martha, you look at Donna, all earthbound, grounded characters, because he always said that the casual viewer sees the Doctor through the eyes of the companion, and that's what you need.
Yeah.
And Whittaker's companions, there was too many. 2 out of 3 of them, or if you include John Bishop, that's another one. 2 out of 3 of them, 3 out of 4 of them were bad actors or actresses. Graham was the only decent character amongst them. The rest of them were shoehorned in for various reasons and just didn't work. And then Yaz at the end was just still as wooden as anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they shoehorned the lesbian relationship into it, which was just toe-curlingly embarrassing. It's like, oh, please. I prefer the Rose Doctor thing to that anytime, because it felt forced and bad. And, so many bad writing. Too many companions, didn't work. And yeah, it was just too crowded. It just needs one Doctor, one companion, maybe 2 at a push, and that's all it is.
Yeah. And like we said, just a sensible... The companion is our audience surrogate, so they should react like an audience would.
Yeah.
If you see a Dalek for the first time, you go, "Sod that, I'm out of it."
Yeah, that's it.
It shouldn't just be, "Oh, that's a Dalek, cool." Yeah, that must be a Tuesday kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see how it pans out. But Timeless Child, they've got to do something about it. They can't just ignore it. And now you've seen it.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I hadn't.
No, you can't wash that out of your brain.
Oh, I can. I will find enough bleach to deal with it. Yeah, just my eyes. Why? Have we destroyed Doctor Who enough for this episode?
Yeah, I think there is an episode going in the future about the future plans for Doctor Who and what they may or may not be. But that is just a toes dip in the water that was series 12 and 13 of Doctor Who. I
think the daft thing is, this is coming from 2 long-term fans. And you think, God, why? And there's you look and think to yourself, well, there's people growing up who only know New Who. So like in 2005 when it started, they were like youngsters. Yeah. And they're now like 15, 16, even like 20. You go, yeah, cool. If they're 20 now, they would have been what, 2 when it came back? That makes me feel old. Yeah. So it's all I've known, and you're just going, do you like this? Is this? Do you watch this crap?
The ratings tanked. The ratings just tanked.
Oh yeah, and because again, in our off-screen chat last time, we were looking at ratings, weren't we? It's sort of like 8 million, 8 million, 7 million, 6 million. 5 million, 4 million.
So it's not just the traditional fans who were turning off. It was the general public were turning off because it was just not good television.
Yeah. So again, Saturday night.
Yep.
That's get it back on a Saturday night. Yep. Get it again, that prime time slot. Started at Easter. Job done. Have a Christmas special.
Christmas special, because apparently Chibnell didn't like Christmas, so he didn't have it on Christmas. And also because he was embarrassed that they'd get really bad ratings on Christmas Day, so they stuck it on New Year's Day. Get it back on.
Be better. Make a better program. I think that's the thing.
Doctor Who, be better.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you're afraid of bad ratings, make a better TV show.
Yeah.
You don't get bad ratings for a good TV show.
Hire proper writers. If you go back, take some time and look at some of the IMDb history of the writers of that first series that she was in, series 11, half of them hadn't done anything else bar that. And it's like, well, they hadn't written sci-fi, but had written other random stuff. So had no concept of how to write sci-fi TV. And that's part of the problem. It's okay, you can have some really wonderful, politically correct storyline, but if it doesn't translate into Doctor Who sci-fi, it don't work. And it was proved right. Every episode was rubbish.
Yeah. I think that's almost our closing statement, isn't it? If you don't want Doctor Who to be bad, make a better TV show. And if you're afraid of bad ratings, write a better TV show. Just make it good. And it might sound like a really simplistic thing, but actually, it's a formulaic TV show that's been around since the 60s. This is not rocket science. Just play to its strengths. Yeah. Write a good script. Get good actors. And actually, the effects don't have to be perfect, because let's face it, we had cardboard sets and Suits, and just write a better TV show.
There you go. I think that's a good way to conclude it, because we have gone on for a long time, but you have to have the full pain of The Timeless Child, and I still think you should watch it all. Watch it all. Right. So, what do you think, listeners, viewers out there in podcast land, of Doctor Who: The Timeless Child? Stick a comment in the comments below on YouTube, or send us a message at link.journeysofandom.com. Various ways you can get hold of us on that page. We'll be back again soon with more Doctor Who related conversations. I still think there is a conversation to be had about the future of Doctor Who and the multiverse, not the shared universe, you know what I mean. But apart from that, I think we're done for Doctor Who today. I think Matt needs to go and have a lie down. Yeah, I think I'm done. I just have a headache now. That's hurt me. My soul is actually crying. Matt's going to go nurse his soul. So I'll say cheerio from Tim. And I'll say cheerio from Matt.